In the year 332 BCE, after a series of unstoppable victories across Asia Minor and the Middle East, one city dared to stand against the rising legend of Alexander the Great. That city was Tyre, a powerful island fortress in the Mediterranean Sea, protected not just by soldiers but by nature itself. Tyre was no ordinary city. It was one of the richest and most important Phoenician strongholds in the ancient world. Built on an island nearly a kilometer from the mainland, it was surrounded by massive stone walls that rose dramatically out of the sea. These walls were so high and so strong that no army had ever successfully broken through them. For centuries, Tyre had stood unconquered, and now Alexander was coming. At this point in his campaign, Alexander had already defeated the Persian forces in major battles. Cities across the region had surrendered to him, either out of fear or respect. But Tyre refused. The people of Tyre believed their island city made them untouchable. They believed that as long as the sea protected them, no army on earth could reach them. When Alexander arrived on the coast, he did not come only as a conqueror. He came with a request. He wanted to enter Tyre peacefully and make a religious sacrifice at the temple of Melkart, a god the Greeks identified with Heracles. But the Tyrians refused him entry. They offered to allow him to worship on the mainland, but not inside their sacred island city. This was not just a refusal, it was a challenge. Alexander understood that leaving Tyre unconquered behind him would be dangerous. The city had a powerful navy and could threaten his supply lines. If he was to continue his march toward Egypt and deeper into the Persian Empire, Tyre had to fall. But there was one major problem. He had no way to reach it. Tyre was separated from the mainland by deep water. Its navy controlled the sea, and its walls were too high for traditional siege weapons. For any other general, this would have been the end of the campaign. But Alexander was not like other generals. Instead of accepting defeat, he made a decision that seemed almost impossible. If he could not reach the island, he would build a road to it. Alexander ordered his men to begin constructing a massive causeway from the mainland, straight across the sea toward Tyre. Using stones, wood, and rubble from the old city on the coast, his soldiers began dumping material into the water. Slowly, a narrow strip of land started to form, stretching further and further toward the island. At first, the Tyrians laughed. They watched from their high walls as the Macedonian army struggled in the water, but soon they realized this was not a temporary effort. Alexander was serious. Day after day, the causeway grew longer. That was when Tyre began to fight back. From the safety of their walls, Tyrian archers fired arrows into the workers below. Warships sailed close to the causeway and launched attacks. Stones, spears, and fire rained down upon the Macedonian soldiers. Building the causeway became deadly work. To protect his men, Alexander ordered the construction of huge wooden siege towers placed at the end of the growing road. These towers were covered in protective materials and filled with archers and catapults. From these towers, Macedonian soldiers fired back at the defenders on the walls. But the Tyrians had a plan of their own. One day they prepared an old ship, filled it with dry wood, sulfur, and flammable materials. They set it on fire and sent it drifting toward the causeway. When it reached the siege towers, the flames spread quickly. Within moments, the massive structures were burning. Tyrian ships followed, attacking the workers and destroying months of progress. The causeway was heavily damaged. The towers were gone. Many soldiers were killed. For a moment, it seemed as if the Tyrians had won, but Alexander refused to give up. He realized that to defeat Tyre, he needed control of the sea. So he gathered ships from nearby cities that had already surrendered to him. From Sidon, Byblos, and other Phoenician ports, he assembled a fleet of more than 200 ships. Now everything changed. With his new navy, Alexander surrounded the island. Tyre was no longer safe. The Macedonians attacked the city from both land and sea. The causeway was rebuilt, stronger and wider than before. New siege towers were constructed. Warships blocked Tyre's harbors, preventing supplies and reinforcements from reaching the city. The siege dragged on for months. The sea grew deeper as the causeway approached the island, making construction harder and slower. Waves crashed against the stones. Tyrian divers swam underwater to sabotage the foundations. Archers and warships continued their attacks. But Alexander pushed forward relentlessly. Finally, after 7 long months, the causeway reached the walls of Tyre. Now the real battle began. Macedonian ships attacked from multiple sides, using battering rams mounted on their hulls to smash against the walls. Catapults fired stones and arrows non-stop. Siege towers rolled forward, towering over the defenders. Then at last, a section of the wall began to crack. With one final push, the Macedonian forces broke through. Alexander's soldiers stormed into the city. What followed was fierce and chaotic. The defenders fought desperately, but they were outnumbered and exhausted. Street by street, the Macedonians took control. Tyre, the city that believed itself untouchable, had finally fallen. The siege was over. With Tyre defeated, Alexander now controlled the entire eastern Mediterranean coastline. The Persian navy lost one of its most important bases. And perhaps most importantly, the rest of the region saw a clear message. Even the strongest city in the sea could not stop Alexander. After this victory, many cities surrendered without resistance. And the most remarkable part of this story still exists today. Over time, sand and earth gathered around the massive causeway Alexander built. What was once a temporary road across the sea slowly became permanent land. Today, the island of Tyre is no longer an island. It is connected to the mainland, forever changed by a siege that happened more than 2,300 years ago. Alexander did not just conquer a city. He reshaped the coastline itself. The siege of Tyre remains one of the greatest examples of determination, engineering, and military strategy in ancient history. It showed that for Alexander, there was no such thing as an impossible obstacle. When faced with the sea, he did not turn back. He built a path through it and walked straight into legend.